Can I have your attention, everyone, please? Thank you so much. I want to let you know that we're going to begin the program, and we're going to start off with posting your colors, so that we can get this program going, and then after that, we're going to dance and have fun. So let's get this program going. Thank you.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Thank you very much, Michael. This is my second time today for this Pledge of Allegiance, so I'm very, very honored to be leading everybody here in the Pledge of Allegiance. So we pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Elgar. Right face. Right face. Post colors. Present. Up. Forward. Up. Right face. Head ahead there. Forward. Up.
please?
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to deliver the blessing in place of Mike Lang, who couldn't be here tonight, unfortunately. So if everybody would bow their heads. Heavenly Father, we gather this evening in honor and gratitude for the brave men and women who have selflessly served our nation. As we come together to commemorate their sacrifice and honor their dedication, we ask for your presence and guidance. Thank you to our veterans who have stood on the front lines to defend our freedoms and uphold the values we hold dear. We pray for the healing of their scars, emotions, and those suffering from the loss of a loved one. May their memory be a source of inspiration for us all to strive for a more peaceful world. As we gather in unity and solidarity, may we be reminded of the sacrifice with thankful hearts. Bless this evening's proceedings and the meal we partake of. Above all, bless those who have served. May your love and grace shine upon us, especially the SpectraCare Foundation, the Rouse Center, the veterans, seniors, and at-risk animals that SpectraCare strives to serve. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen.
That is slightly out of sequence, so I do apologize. Everybody can have a seat. One of the great privileges, those of you that were here last year for Gala may remember this particular video, but those of you that maybe didn't see it, I think you'll really get something out of it. And those of you that did see it, I hope you appreciate it a second time. I think it sets the tone for the evening.
3 teens were arrested today for defacing the Kensington Park War Memorial overnight. The destruction includes painted messages against the military and the war in the Middle East. The 3 teens were picked up illegally and protected evidence of weapons.
Some people sure have short memories, and those who are young to know need to be taught. Come on, I want to show you girls something.
Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a day which will live in infamy. United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan. At dawn on the morning of the 6th of June, 1944, 225 Rangers jumped off a British landing craft and ran to the bottom of these cliffs. 225 came here. After 2 days of fighting, only 90 could still bear arms. These are the boys of Auletto. These are the men who took the cliffs. These are the champions who helped free a continent. These are the heroes who helped end a war. You are men who in your, quote, lives fought for life and left the vivid air signed with your honor.
In the name of God and country, I learned to defy gravity. To honor my family, I lived in the belly of a beast. I fixed the hearts of iron monsters. I became a worm in the mud for dignity, for honor, for righteousness' sake, for God and country. I fought for you. I fought for you. For you. I fought for you. I fought for you. I fought for you. I fought for you. For you. For you. For you. For you. I fought for you. I fought for you. I fought for you, and I do it again.
started the foundation, we started it on a pillar of 3 concepts. And we sort of backed into 2 of them. And those 3 concepts were serving at-risk veterans, at-risk seniors, and at-risk animals. And in all those cases, we looked at where there was overlap, where animals could help at-risk veterans and seniors, where they could help animals, and where seniors and non-vets could help vets and seniors, and so on. We added a 4th pillar, and that was youth leadership development. And in the video you just watched, I think it underscores how important reaching out to the youth of every new generation is. I was part of the generation, and I know many of you in the room were at the tail end of the Vietnam War, and we experienced what the veterans went through coming back from that war. And it was unlike the World War II, and it's certainly unlike wars that followed. And I think the veterans that returned bore the brunt of negative reactions from society that was so unfair. And it took decades for us to grow past that. And in the meantime, we see kids today disconnected in many ways. And I think it's our collective responsibility to identify those student leaders and reach out. This banner over here represents Rotary International. And for those of you that may not know what Rotary is, it's the largest private service organization in the world. It has 1.3 million members, thousands of clubs all throughout the world, and it is in 200 countries. It has 7 areas of focus that range everywhere from clean water and sanitation to maternal care to the environment and programs to eradicate disease. Rotary is very proud of the fact that it eradicated polio, and it works very hard to try to keep that polio from resurrecting itself. It comes up every so often officially for a disease to be eradicated. There have to be no new cases of it for a period of 3 years. And it seems that in Afghanistan and Pakistan, there's always 1 case that returns because it's really hard to get the medicines, the vaccinations, where they're hard to get to. In any event, for those of you that are in the audience that are Rotarians, could I ask you to stand, please? Right now, tonight, is a Rotary meeting, and you probably didn't know you were coming. Dave Still is our president of the New Jersey, the Rotary Club of New Jersey, and I'm real proud of our club because we're the only statewide club. Against impossible odds, we managed to get all 4 districts in the state to sign off on this, and Marv Axler, sitting in the back, very humbly helped us navigate those treacherous waters to make that happen. And that allows us to network with all 4 districts. It allows us to network with Rotaract, which is Rotary at the college level. And we're able to do that with the veterans organizations on all 3 campuses, main campuses, Newark, New Brunswick, and down in Camden. We're the proud sole club sponsor of Rutgers Rotaract in Camden. And as a part of doing all of that, the SpectraCare Foundation signed a memorandum of understanding with the club, and everything we do joined together. So, in keeping with that, Mr. President, do you want to call the meeting to order?
Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call to order the Rotary Club of New Jersey meeting tonight. Normally we have our meetings on Thursdays, so we skipped it in preparation for this. But all Rotary members, this will be our official meeting for the first meeting of this month. And everybody else, you guys are honorary guests to our official Rotary meeting. Hope everybody has a great time and enjoy yourself.
Thank you, Kate. There are membership applications in the back. For those of you that might be interested in joining, we can talk more about that another time. But anyway, you're in a Rotary meeting today. So today, Kathleen really pushed hard that we tried to schedule this gala for today. Because as you know, we named our Veterans Center after Carlton Rue. And Captain Rue was a Medal of Honor recipient. And today happens to be the 79th anniversary of the day that he threw his body on grenades in the South Pacific to save the lives of his fellow infantrymen. And this is something that we published in our trifold brochure that I'm sure you guys have seen before. But in honor of Carlton Rue, I'd like to read that to you right now. Carlton Rue, May 11, 1919 to December 8, 1977, was a United States Marine who received the Congressional Medal of Honor for gallantry, risking his life to save the lives of 2 fellow Marines on Pillow Island on September 15, 1944. The then First Lieutenant Rue threw his body between his fellow Marines and an exploding grenade during World War II. 21 Marines similarly used their bodies to cover grenades in order to save the lives of others. 4 of these Marines survived, only 4, including Rue and fellow Medal of Honor recipients Richard Bush, Richard Sorensen, and Jacqueline Lucas. And I'd like to just have a moment of silence for just a second or two for Captain Rue and the fellow recipients of that award. Thank you. Okay, welcome. Welcome to the gala. We have committed to try to keep this shorter here tonight. Those of you who were last year, you know, ran a little bit long, and we really wanted to be able to get to the music and DJ dancing and everything, but we do have a couple of really great presentations for you tonight, and we're going to dive into them. I just want to mention, I'm sure everyone in this room knows, this is our website. If you have a chance to go to it, SpectraCareFoundation.org, we have a page on it that is Our Foundation in Action. Please take the time to go to it. It's populated with updates on what we're doing every single week, sometimes multiple times in a week. And there you can see all of the active programs that we have that are therapy programs and recreational programs. We've expanded our PTSD therapy programs now, starting with equine therapy, which we have up in Burlington County with a stable, Forgotten Angels, that also is an animal sanctuary. They work on taking horses that would otherwise be slaughtered or animals that have been abused, and they have other farm animals they protect as well. So in the process of having these animals repurposed, not only does it give them new life, but it also helps the veterans to recover. Before I mention any other program, I do have to tell you that personally seeing the equine experience up close and personal, we learned about this from VFW National Magazine. I absolutely was blown away by the connection that the vets make with the horses. We saw battle-hardened and just people under incredible, internalized quiet pain come out. And there's something about the horse that just pulls out incredible, powerful things, and it has a wonderful healing property to it. In any event, we've had many classes. We ultimately now have grown to be able to engage in a Gala, which is a licensed therapy instructor with equine. We have a licensed social worker who handles the required paperwork that we need to certify those individuals. And Kathleen's done a wonderful job with the team in maintaining those sessions on a regular basis. It usually takes 4 sessions for each group to get through. We added a very talented artist who joined us and does our art therapy classes, and you probably, some of his art is on display in the back that was produced by the veterans that attend those classes. And we get really a lot of rave reviews about it. He uses mixed medium, they're always changing things up. We started a culinary arts class that Mark Everling has been kind enough to teach for us, and I think he's having some fun doing it too. But it's really cool. It's the beginnings of using our kitchen. I can, slightly out of sequence, announce that I did get a phenomenal text message yesterday that it looks like we're going to be able to close in the donation of Unit B in our building, which is going to allow us to have a small food distribution operation in the front of the building attached to the Food Bank of South Jersey and two of our pantry partners, so we can continue our food pantry operations. We also have a gardening program. Through a Rotary grant, we were able to secure one greenhouse. We've committed to a second one. So we're going to have a greenhouse that's going to go up on the side of our building for veterans therapy, gardening, and also in cooperation with Heroic Gardens, where the yield of that greenhouse is going to be able to be used to beautify the homes of veterans that would appreciate that. And Heroic Gardens, if you know about the work they do incredible work. And I should also say that, you know, I had the privilege and the honor of joining their team as Kathleen, and it's just incredible to see the response that they get from veterans when they participate in the greening and growing of things. So we have that's coming online. And of course, I know Kathleen's very proud of the fact that as you came in tonight, you probably saw the white bus that we have outside. That was not easy to pull off, but we have to thank our friends at Auto Adventures, Darryl and Bob in particular, through their connections with dealers and bus companies. They networked really hard for us and managed to get this vehicle. We managed to get some partners to help paint it, and Dan of Dan Signs is going to be decaling it. And you can see a motif of what that's going to look like, but the van it's designed, and obviously it's a school bus, so it's got seat belts in it. So they say it seats 16, but they're like little. So I guess, we're going to take 8 adults typically, but it's going to allow us to help get veterans to medical appointments locally, to be able to get vets in our photography program and in our art program outdoors, so that they can experience the outside version of those therapy classes. And I just started teaching our model rocket class, and we've managed to get everybody through 2 sessions. Everybody built their first rocket, and we're going to pack everybody in the bus, and we're going to shoot the rockets. So that's kind of cool. I do want to emphasize, take this opportunity again. I know I say this a lot, Kathleen says it a lot, but it's really important for us to know and use every opportunity we can to communicate to you that nobody at the foundation gets paid. I know everybody thinks that isn't true, but it is true. The Gala does get us a fee for her services. We do give a small stipend to Justin, our artist, because he's struggling in school right now, but nobody gets paid. And our budget is only about $20,000 a year. Half of that we get from the Patriot Fund, and the other half we raise. And a lot of that is coming from your kindness of attending here tonight, and also participating through corporate sponsors that have donated outright sponsorships, and of course whatever you can do in purchasing some of the items that we have here tonight that raise the remainder of that money. But all of that money goes to maintain the building, which has a significant expense to it, even though we're isolated from property taxes. We still have quite a few expenses between water, utilities, condo dues, insurance. We have double insurance bills now because we have to pay insurance for the bus, and it all adds up. And we do want to constantly expand what we're doing. I'm very proud of the fact that we have built the organization tremendously around a cadre of individuals who are not veterans, and they're not seniors, and certainly not animals. But they join together in a spirit of harmony to help out of a desire of service. And that's also part of the interlinkages that we have with Rotary. So I'm really happy to emphasize that and make sure that you know that when you donate to our organization, that 99%, probably not 100% because of some of these small payments that are made, but 99% of every dollar that we bring in goes directly to services. And we are looking at trying to hire an employee to help Kathleen with the programs and lots of operations. But if we do that, we're going to be doing that by getting a grant. And I know Ted at the county level and Melinda, they're working with us as best they can. It was a big discovery on our part to find out that the Veterans Administration Secretary sits on a budget of $1.37 billion, I'm sorry, $137 billion. $137 billion of discretionary money. Now, a lot of that's spoken for, and a lot of it goes to medical services and other things, but a lot of it's highly discretionary. So we're going to try to see what we can do to be more aggressive at trying to get a grant. We did put a lot of energy in applying for one of the Fox grants, and unfortunately it was very difficult to compete for it. But if you don't mind, I would like a round of applause for Melinda and Ted for all they do for us. And I want to resist the temptation to call on any one individual and make a note of that, because each one of you here has done some incredible things, but not all of you are going to be recognized with an award tonight, obviously. But I'd also like to recognize Karen, who's sitting next to Melinda. Karen, everybody knows that. And, you know, one of the things that always impressed me about Karen is that her house, if you've ever been in her house, is a museum of stacked boxes and donated goods. We talked about one time of trying to get her to be able to clean her, lighten her house up a little bit. She said, Michael, no, I sometimes I get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and the first thing I have to do is start making boxes to ship overseas. So Karen is a tireless advocate for veterans. So thank you for that. So, as we move along, let's get right into our formal ceremony. Our first guest speaker tonight is Dr. and United States Air Force Colonel Gwen Paris Atwell. Now, Gwen's description, as well as all of our speakers and awardees tonight, are in your program. There's a lot of detail in there, so I'm not going to be highlighting every single detail of every speaker, but Gwen has been she's a nurse practitioner for Jefferson Health, employee in occupational medicine. She did her doctoral study based on resiliency, focusing on shift work fatigue at Jefferson. She's a member of multiple hospital committees. She's received many professional awards, community awards, and she's involved in many, many community activities. So I'd like to welcome to the stage Dr. Gwen.
Thank you, everyone. Commander, I think we can have a VFW meeting tonight too, right? The American Legion meeting also, right? Get her done. Get her all done. Thank you, Kathleen and Michael, and SpectraCare Foundation for the honor and privilege to speak here tonight. So when this all started out, we had a meeting over at the center. What a beautiful, beautiful building you have there, and organization that you guys have. I said to Kathleen, what is the theme for the gala? And how do we dress? And who and all is going to be there? Basically, she said, oh, people have pants on. I said, I hope so. They'll have gowns on. I could wear my mess dress. But then I know that if I'm up and down the steps and I didn't want to wear my heels, so I thought I'll just wear my Class A uniform, which is way too big for me now, which is a good thing. And by the way, the picture that I had taken that's in that booklet, that was 4 years ago. This is what happens to you after 4 years of a group command. And anyway, she quickly said to me, we're going to be honoring our heroes. What is it like to serve? She wanted me to speak about that. What did it mean to me? And what is the importance of military nursing? So when you think about military nurses, who do you think about? Come on, I'm hearing you in the back. Loretta Swett. Well, if you really watch the MASH episodes, they have some deep things that happen to them. I think of China Beach. I think of all the nurses that have been affected over the years in military nursing. Typically, nurses didn't get past the rank of captain. They were very fortunate to make the rank of major. Things have changed, as you can see. So I had the privilege, and if this sounds like a Debbie Downer, I apologize, but I'm going to tell you how it was. We didn't have normal bathrooms. I'm going to tell you a little bit about everything that I saw when I was deployed. I had a privilege, and that's not something that everybody has, to care for our American heroes while I was deployed in Iraq and Afghanistan. My experiences have forever changed me as a person. It made me a better leader, and certainly made me a better nurse. The one thing that our troops can always depend on is quick access to medical care. Today's medical assets are stationed in the same location with our combat units. In the close proximity that we are located, our improved body armor. If you've never worn the new body armor, it's like wearing a toilet tank. It's heavy. It's uncomfortable. Our ability to air evac patients out quicker from the battlefield back to the United States. Our wounded survival rates are now at unprecedented 99.7%, compared to 70% survival rate of the wounded during World War II, and then 86% in the Vietnam War. So we've come a long way. I'm going to highlight a few of my memories and a few of my experiences. Operation Iraqi Freedom. I was in Gala, Iraq. We also called it Mortaritaville because we were mortared constantly. When the ramp of the 130, C-130 is a cargo plane that they brought us all in on, when it opened up, and everybody that went to Vietnam can remember this, you knew immediately where you were because of the heat. It was hot. I could feel a sense of urgency. There were loud blaring alarms. An announcer was repetitively saying, incoming, incoming, incoming. He didn't mean new incoming troops. He meant that the mortars were coming in. So next thing I know, I had about, 200 pounds of gear. And if you know me when I travel, I take everything but the kitchen sink. It was hot. The air reeked of jet fuel. It was noisy. Fighter jets were going back and forth up the runway. The props of the 130s were running, and the sound of helicopters. That's basically what I remember. That noise never ended. From the first night I arrived there to the last night that I left, I heard it all night long. And you know how most people have a white noise machine? I had C-130s running all night long, and Black Hawks going across our tubes all night long. So it's something that you don't forget. I remember the dust. I remember dust storms. I remember the heat, the blinding bright days, and the extreme darkness at night, and it was dark there. I want to tell you a little bit about one of my most memorable patients. I vividly remember this patient because it was after one long hot day, busy hot day. It was just nightfall. We had received a trauma alert. We were all in the gym exercising. I know you're like, medical people exercising. Yes, we were exercising. A trauma alert came that I'll never forget. That night turned into a long sleepless night. Now, thank goodness you didn't have time to read my resume because you'll be here all night. But I worked at the Hospital University of Penn, and I worked in the trauma center, and I worked helicopters, I worked pre-hospital care all my life, and I can tell you that I've never seen anything that I've seen in the combat zone. I think that you're prepared, but you're not. Nothing prepared me for what I witnessed that evening. As I arrived in the trauma bay, and they all looked at me, I was a reservist. Most of the people there were active duty. They knew that I was an ER trauma nurse. And they looked to you to give them guidance. I gave them guidance the best I could. The injured soldier was a young female. I know that combat troops, when you see your own people injured, it's the first time it's shocking, the second time it's still shocking, and it's shocking every time you see it. But as a nurse standing over a female with an Army uniform on has forever been burned into my brain. Something I'll never forget. She was mortally wounded. I'll never forget the emotion I had that evening. I basically went back to my place to go to sleep because I had to be back at work by 5 a.m. I walked up to the hospital entrance and her comrades were standing in a prayer circle. They never left the hospital that night. They were basically standing there just waiting for her body to come out of the hospital. I go to church that morning. I went ahead and got busy and was getting people on and off aircraft all day. Went to church. Chaplain started a sermon with, last night, Sergeant Smith went home. Today, her remains will be flown back to America, land of the free, home of the brave. Sergeant Smith gave all. She gave the ultimate sacrifice for our country. I'll never forget a dark evening coming back from the dining facility, and we call it the DFAC nowadays. Back in the day, they called it the mess hall. It's the DFAC now. There's an acronym for everything. Whenever you were walking or riding your bicycle, or however you had to get around, because the base was fairly big, you would think to yourself, if the alarms go off, what am I going to do? Where am I going to get? Where am I going to go? Well, I have PTSD. Anyway, the alarms went off. My worst nightmare, the alarms went off. There was no place to go but this dirty ditch. There's no grass in Iraq. There's no grass in Afghanistan. There's nothing but dirt and dust. So I had to get my uniform dirty, and I got down and crouched down in the ditch. And I'm standing there, and the mortars are going over top the hospital. I'm like, what is going on here? And it wasn't the 4th of July. But I looked at the flag, and it was illuminated continuously by those mortars. And let me tell you something. When you see that, you realize why it's so important to get down and take cover. Because I've never seen a mortar go off in my life. I mean, I'm a nurse. I don't fire mortars. They gave me a gun even. That was scary. But when you see something like that, you're like, oh, now I know why I want you to get down. So when that firefight stopped, I heard the all clear signal. I got up. It wasn't even my shift, but I thought I better go and check, see what's going on. So I went into the hospital. They had another trauma alert, but fortunately they had no dead, but they had about 30 people that had minor concussive wounds, and they basically only had to stay overnight. So that was a blessing. I can remember many of the patients I cared for. I remember that my memories of those people are burned into my brain forever. I can't begin to describe my feelings after sitting and listening to a soldier who was suicidal. We both emptied a box of tissues. While with him, I was called to an emergency where one of the soldiers was having a grand mal seizure, dressing fresh shrapnel wounds on a nurse's back and a medic's back. They were bombed in Mosul, Iraq, and they ended up under our care. Things that you just don't forget. I cried with them. I cried for them. Nothing like seeing the blood of your heroes strip on the floor of the helicopters onto the flight line. I've cared for our war dogs. They cared for me because they would come over and visit our patients daily. And it was something that we loved seeing. I remember people getting baptized in fields. In the field, they would set up, these Marines are pretty amazing. They would set up, they'd take a tent down and fill it with water, and they'd get baptized right before they went out to the field. Ram ceremonies on our aircraft honoring our fallen, and flag-draped caskets. I've had the opportunity to participate in reads across America, and I'm sure many of you have done this. I did this at Arlington. For several years, our unit would go up and do this. It was wonderful. We got Area 60, and as many of you know, that's the Iraq and Afghanistan grave site, where about 900 Iraq and Afghanistan war veterans are interned there. I stood there at the grave sites and then realized, when I started looking at the dates on the tombstones, that there were probably people that I took care of. While I was in Afghanistan, I got food poisoning of all things. I had chicken, everybody else had the lamb. That was a mistake on my part. But I got sick, and I got really sick and ended up in ICU. Shortly after I got to the ICU from the emergency department, we got mortared again. It was like a block from the hospital. I knew it was bad. It even ended up on Combat Rescue, the last mission that National Geographic does. And then, believe it or not, I sat down and watched it that night, and I relived the whole incident again. But I knew it was bad just by looking at my senior nurse's face. They were all called to help in the emergency department. And 5 of them were brought to the emergency department, and only 1 of them survived. It was pretty sad for our peeps. So my deployments are difficult to forget. I won't forget their faces, their words, their outcomes while they were in my care. I will never forget the people I served with, sunrises, the snow-covered mountains in Afghanistan, the dust storms, the stick bugs, the war dogs, and Purple Heart ceremonies in the hospital. Unbelievable. What does nursing mean? I can tell you that I had patients that were extremely critical, and I had 2 flight surgeons that hadn't even been through residency yet. They were flight surgeons trained, but they hadn't been to a residency yet. So they were doctors that graduated from college, but they didn't have residencies. Thank goodness for the senior nurses that knew what they were, and Lieutenant Colonel McCormick can attest to that because she shared that tour with me. But we all worked together to get the job done. Our country does produce a lot of great things, but the standout, the strongest, the most resilient, honorable, dedicated, committed, and true product will always be the American veteran. Veterans exist to protect our way of life. We honor every man and woman who has proudly worn this uniform of our armed services and bravely defended our country from the many evils of the world. Whether serving here, at home, or abroad, the elite group of individuals, they have ensured that we are able to live our lives free of tyranny and fear. This small group of individuals rarely ask for anything from us in return. They bravely answered the call to preserve the values upon which our nation was founded, and their service should make every American feel a deep sense of pride. And I think about our Vietnam veterans, and Michael talked about it in the beginning, and they didn't deserve what happened, so every time I have a minute, I make sure I reach out to those guys with those Vietnam vet hats on. We can't repay them for their many sacrifices. We must show our appreciation through whatever means possible, which is what SpectraCare is doing, and I thank you for that. I salute you for that. So in closing, I promised I wouldn't be 30 minutes or an hour. What did it mean to me to serve? So when I look in the mirror at myself, I said, yeah, I've aged 4 years. Was serving in the military worth all the sacrifices we made? Our families made? I know my husband and son, they put up with this for 31 years. They had enough, let me tell you. I was called to do this. This isn't something, you don't get to wear this outfit. You're called to do this. Everyone is called, including those that were drafted. That's a different kind of call, but it's still, everybody's called to do this. I can say it made a difference in my life, both on the battlefield and as a leader and as a nurse in the hospital. And I ensured that those people had good care. And like I said, that's what everybody counts on. When they go out there in a firefight, they know medical's right there. We're going to pick them up and take care of them. May God continue to bless America and bless all of you here tonight.
Kathleen has something she wants to read.
Excuse me, you said 7 minutes.
SpectraCare Foundation Distinguished Vocational Community Service Award is awarded the 15th day of September 2023 to Dr. Gwen Harris Atwell, Honor USA Air Force retired for exceptional vocational community service at Jefferson Health Employee Wellness Medicine, applying advanced study and technique on resiliency, workplace fatigue, infection control, all while working to decrease veteran suicide and actively participating in Gloucester County BSA and USAF JROTC programs with exceptional employer, educational partner, and community research.
Now, Gwen, we wanted to add something to that, and we went into our tight little piggy bank. This is a stretch, but important one. Anyway, we want to give you, under your custodianship, a nursing scholarship award. And I'll just read it. Under resolution by the Board of Directors of the SpectraCare Foundation, a student is to be identified by Dr. Gwen Paris Atwell in some form to be determined acceptable by she, the SpectraCare Foundation, and other participating educational organizations, mutually selected and under ultimate joint memorandum of agreement. The student will receive $1,000 towards undergraduate or graduate nursing study in a program also to be selected by you. The student does not necessarily have to be a JROTC or ROTC or otherwise connected to current or planned military service. But if not, the area study must in some way be linked to the betterment of skills or patient, community, clinical, or quality of life outcomes for veterans and their families. It would be preferred, but not essential, that such study in some way impact PTSD or otherwise contribute to an impact on veteran depression and or suicide. And it has a seal on it. So. Our next speaker doesn't require too much of an introduction. You may remember him from last year, and I mentioned him earlier tonight, because he is now, among many CATSI years, he's teaching our culinary arts program. But Mark has a colorful story to tell. If you remember from last year, he, because of his relationship with his then retiring service dog, Batman, our board decided that it would be a great year to depart. We only give out one Medal of Honor award per year. And we gave it to Mark's dog, Batman, as retired. In the meantime, the importance of Mark's story is his appreciation of the contribution that service dogs can make towards a veteran's life when they're really suffering with PTSD. And when he was suffering badly, he was about to take out a loan for $50,000, which is sort of the going rate, and our partners at Rotary, they spend that much to train a service dog. I'm very proud to say that Mark was smart enough. He's a tough guy. He asked questions. He wouldn't take $50,000 as a final answer. And through networking, asking questions, networking, he brought the cost down to as low as $4,500 per service dog. And we've made a commitment. He is now, while I'm not taking anything away from our friends at Rotary, those of us who are Rotarians, we got a distribution not that long ago of how proud they were that they had 2 service dog placements. And 2 is important, right? But they spent $100,000 for it. And Mark could have trained 20 dogs for that price. Mark was featured on the Rachel Ray Show more than once, and I am very proud to be able to report that I believe he has placed his 86th dog, is that right? 86. So Mark has a story he wants to share with you today, and Mark, the floor is yours.
I would like to clear the air real quick. It was that untrained mongrel right there that was barking at the marine. Come here, Danny. There you go. Vicious. There we go. I don't know who let her in here with an untrained animal, but
Hello, my name is Mark Everly. I'm the founder and president of Paul's Healing Heroes. What we do is we try to rescue dogs out of shelters and foster programs and train them for disabled veterans. When I first started 8 years ago, we just did tip of the spear people because I didn't really know anything else than that. You know, you hear PTSD, you think combat, you don't think sexual trauma, you don't think everything else that has to do with the military. But we've morphed into a pretty cool unit, and I'm proud to say this little ugly dog right here is going to be our 100th dog when it's done. At the end of next year, that'll be dog 100. So, funny story, well, not a funny story about that dog named Danny. Let me just make sure I get his name right. Dan Creth. Okay. We were doing a fundraiser at a car show at the Park Bank this year, and this nice little old lady came up to our tent and she was crying. And she said her nephew served in the Army for 22 years and he took his own life. Dan Creth is his name. He served his whole entire adult life in the Army. And when it was over, he took his own life and they couldn't stop him from doing it like many others. It's really hard, but to name Danny after this young pup right here, Danny, is going to be an honor for us to do that. And I see it's a special dog already. Even though it's Veterans and Marine, we'll allow that to happen. But Danny's going to be a really cool dog. And everybody always says, you know, when's enough? How many dogs can you do? And every day I quit. Every day I've had enough of dogs. I can't take veterans anymore. You guys are a pain in the ass. Yours truly. Me, you know, I'm the biggest pain in the ass. If you know me, I'm the biggest pain in the ass. But, yes, hey, whoa. But we bust our ass. And to get the price down between $4,000 and $11,000 per dog means a lot. Because I wasn't going to pay that much money. I was supposed to fly to Florida and train with this dog for 2 weeks, come home, and then the dog would be shipped to me in a year. And my cousin was a canine cop at the time. He's like, Mark, they're scamming you. Bullshit. It's not that much money. My dog, $13,000, can eat people and detect bombs. What can your dog do? What's your dumb dog going to do more than my dumb dog? So we got some really cool trainers in Alpha and Omega working dogs. They're in Moorestown. And for the young man that was in the Army, all you got to do is go on my website, sir, paulshealingheroes.org. I set you up. We were having a conversation beforehand. He was hugging the dog, and Bear was already alerting him that he was stressed out because he helps everybody else but me. And him. But Bear's got a special talent. He finds the broken people and he goes to them. Especially my wife, because she's my wife. But I was talking to this gentleman, I said, I think I kind of know the guy who runs the program. I'll introduce him to you. I was setting him up. So, Kathleen, if you want to give this gentleman my information, my cell phone and all that, and we will, it's a really easy process. I made it really easy for the Marines to fill out the paperwork. There's sections for crayons for you guys. The detachment, they can't hear me. They're all sleeping. It's all right. See, they don't even know they're here. It's awesome. They were in step though, weren't they? Come on, Air Force, you guys still got it. But let me get back on track. I'm not going to stop doing what I'm doing. I researched my family a little bit over the years, and my mother's side of the family has 38 veterans. Uncle passed away in Korea during combat. My dad was a combat veteran in Korea. My grandparents are Gold Star grandparents. I just met my great aunt recently, and I was in her basement, and she showed me a picture of a veteran. His name is Carl Loesch. 2018, I was at this gentleman's funeral in Elmer, I believe it was. Right? Sounds right. I didn't know this gentleman. I just went on behalf of my organization because he was in the Philippines. He was killed during the Bataan Death March. Bronze Star, Purple Heart veteran. And his remains, his femur bone was brought home and linked up with my great aunt. I did not know that gentleman was my great uncle, and I was at his funeral, so I just thought I'd share that with you because that was badass. 78 family members that I've tracked down, dead or still living, still serving in my family. That's the reason why I do what I do. You know, I don't stop. There's a lot of broken people in this room, including non-service members. Everybody has some form of PTSD. Everybody. Everybody's experienced death, fire, breakups, depression. These animals get it. What we do at Paul's Healing Heroes, we just try to train them not to be, excuse my language, try not to be assholes in public. Now, we do train them for individual disabilities if you have it, but the majority of the dogs will let us know that we're broken, and all they want to do is lend to Paul, then the bear will jump in my lap. Batman still does it at home. He does it with my wife, and the dogs are changing lives, and it's not going to fix everything. You still have to take your medicine. You still got to go to therapy if you have it. But I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, and with the help of the SpectraCare Foundation, you guys keep having me here and talking and shaking up your room and just getting my name out there. We're going to keep it up, and we're going to give awesome dogs like Danny to awesome Marines like Mickey. So thank you for your service, ma'am. I know I break your shit all the time, but thank you very much. Was that short enough? I don't know. The Air Force colonel over there, really.
We have something for you, and I want you to notice that it's green.
SpectraCare Foundation would like to give the Distinguished Community Service Award. It's awarded to the 15th day of September to Mark Everett, United States Army, for his tireless dedication as the founder and executive director of Paul's Healing Heroes, proven every day with scores upon scores of successful dog placements that veterans suffering from PTSD can be helped by canine heroes without being financially harmed with the dog, being saved from the loss of life, all while gathering extreme veteran and animal community respect. Thank you.
We wanted to do that because in the process of giving Batman an award, we realized we didn't really give you.
You guys didn't give a shit about me, I know.
Here, your dog's awesome. Here's an award.
So also, we want to give you this check for $1,000.
Thank you very much.
It is just a small amount towards our stretch goal, but I guarantee you we will meet that goal.
Awesome.
All right?
Awesome, thank you.
We also have a special gift for Danny.
Okay, you
So
can
I'm going to be giving you a gift for Danny. And the organizer is in the back. Put together a basket for Danny to start her life. And you want to say a little word about yourself?
My name is Nikita Clark. I go by Nikki. I served 5 years active duty in the United States Marine Corps. And I just want, since I have the microphone, I'm going to use this opportunity. Mark, I'm just so thankful for what you do. And for those of you who donate to Paul's Healing Heroes, I've only been with Danny for 2 months, but I have seen how much independence I'm going to get back since having her and getting a part of my life back. And if it wasn't for people like Mark and all the wonderful people who donate, I don't see how moving forward in healing would have happened. So thank you so much, Mark, for what you do. I'm very, very appreciative.
Okay, moving right along. One goal that we set for tonight's gala is we wanted to recognize two organizations that you all know of. You've heard them 1,000 or 1,000,000 times, and that would be the American Legion and the VFW. But we wanted to recognize them in a particular way. So I'd like to start by...
Chartered by Congress in 1919, the American Legion provides services to veterans, military members, their families, and local communities. Today, the American Legion is the nation's largest veteran service organization. In large and small communities across the United States, the Legion's 2 million members work on behalf of veterans. In its century of service, the American Legion has changed and strengthened the social fabric of this country. In 1919, the Legion passed a resolution in support of the Boy Scouts. Today, the Legion supports hundreds of thousands of youths with various programs and scholarships. The Legion was instrumental in building America's pastime, baseball. 68 Hall of Famers and 50% of all major leaguers played American Legion baseball. In addition to children and youth, the Legion was founded on pillars of Veterans Affairs, national security, and Americanism. Perhaps the Legion's greatest achievement is passage of the GI Bill. That legislation has allowed millions of military veterans to afford college, launch their own businesses, and receive affordable home loans. The American Legion is credited with creating today's Department of Veterans Affairs. At the community level, Legion posts provide free assistance to any veteran needing help to receive the benefits earned through their military service. The American Legion helps today's transitioning service members secure jobs by sponsoring hundreds of job fairs across the country each year. The Legion's founders set out to support veterans, assist military families, mentor youth, and promote Americanism. Today's members of the American Legion hold those values true while continuing to build on the legacy. Today's American Legion advocates for veterans' rights in Congress and every state legislature. Today's American Legion supports veterans seeking their military benefits. Today's American Legion provides scholarships and aid to veterans and military families in need. Today's American Legion gives scholarships to college students. Today's American Legion creates opportunities to turn youths into model citizens. Today's American Legion builds on the legacy of a century of service to nation, state, and community.
So right now I'd like to welcome to the stage here New Jersey American Legion, United States Air Force Staff Sergeant Anthony Santinelli. Tony is the New Jersey American Legion State Senior Vice Commander, and he's also chair of the Veterans Affairs Committee in Kathleen's in my hometown in Gloucester Township. Tony's bio is in your program. Tony, I'd like you to come up to the stage.
Good evening. I'd like to thank SpectraCare for the foundation for my invitation here for my wife and I. And that video took everything I was going to say. So I'm giving the regards to the department commander. He had a previous engagement up north, so you're stuck with me. So that being said, I just came back from the 104th National Convention where we elected our new national commander. But that being said, our previous commander started a program or an initiative called Be the One. To ask a veteran in your life how they're doing. To listen when their veteran needs to talk. To reach out when a veteran's struggling. We're not mental, what do you call it? Providers. But we know where they can go. They say there's 22 veterans a day that commit suicide. And all I'm going to tell you, if you're into numbers, that's only people that shoot themselves or hang themselves. It's not the ones that overdose on drugs, and it's not the ones from suicide by cop. So if you're into numbers, the number is 0 we're looking for. The past national commander instilled this program. The current commander is going with it, and it's be the one and be personal. So it only takes one person to save another life. So, that being said, be the one. All right, now I gotta get to my notes. Because you stole my thought. So, as the program said, we're 2 million strong. We're the largest veterans organization, not only say in the country, because we have places in France, England, Panama, so we have 55 districts. There's only 50 states, but we have 55 districts. So we're the largest organization in the world, veterans organization. Our 4 pillars is for veterans, defense for the country, community, and youth. And on that note, I'm going to keep it short because people in front of me just stole my thunder. The video stole my thunder. So I would like to invite Joe Baramondi up to the stage. Oh, I got to hold on. What's that?
The special honor proclamation in New Jersey. Good.
This is a special honor proclamation for the New Jersey.
You did tell him. You did tell him.
We don't get the BMW one.
Oh, boy. Whereas since 1919, the American Legion has provided services to veterans, military members, their families, and their communities built on pillars of Veterans Affairs, national security, and Americanism. And whereas after being the direct facilitator for the original GI Bill creation in the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, they today are the largest veteran service organization assisting transitioning veterans to obtain their entitlement benefits and helping them find employment through active local job fairs. And whereas they also support national youth development programs, youth leadership development, and scholarship, which is really important. And the team building sport of baseball, which was an interesting fact I didn't know. And whereas the New Jersey American Legion has specifically done all these things for New Jersey veterans, while also working with the state legislature to promote the specific interests of New Jersey state veterans and their families, while also actively supporting all state American Legion posts and their commanders and members in all ways possible. Be it therefore resolved by the Board of Directors of the SpectraCare Foundation that the New Jersey American Legion is hereby recognized by proclamation by both the SpectraCare Foundation and its Carlton R. Rue Veterans Center as a most distinguished and critical foundational organization in pursuit of New Jersey veterans' rights and privileges. So be it so proclaimed and recognized to all pertinent this day.
Thank you. Thank you. I gotta add one thing. The American Legion did get the GI Bill passed in Congress, but they also got the PACT Act passed in Congress. And they're working on the STARS Act, which will give people with TBI and PTSD that were released from the military prior to 20 years a full pension. Now, Joe, it's your turn. Come on up. Can you make it? American Legion Post 372, Cherry Hill, New Jersey, Commander Joe Marmondi. Lifetime Community Service Award is given his 15th day of September 2023. Joseph Grizz Marmondi, BO2 U.S. Navy. for his many years of uniformed service in the United States of America and his lifetime of service to his community. As a proud member of a post commander, the American Legion 372 Cherry Hill, he is inspired the dedication, kindness, and selflessness sacrifice. He's truly loved and appreciated by many. And it's signed Michael D. Van Sant and Kathleen D. Van Sant. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's all.
Wow. I never received anything like this before, and truly it's not necessary. I'm only doing what is expected of a commander, and I couldn't do it without the great people I have behind me helping with me. And I just want to thank SpectraCare for all that you do, and anything we can do to help you further, we'll be glad to there. Thank you again.
It's presented from the board for a 3-day, 2-night state vacation, so for all the hard work that you did from the bottom of our No, we're sending you to do it. The view is better.
David County, baboon! 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 I got this. You know what?
Okay, moving right along. Our second organization that will recognize right from this is VFW, the Veterans of Foreign Wars.
Don't tell me.
Serving overseas is just the beginning. We might be home from war, but our mission continues in communities all across the country. While we face new challenges every day, the spirit we bring to battle has never been stronger. The call to serve has never been louder. It's why we're out there in times of peace and crisis, providing meals to the hungry and supplies to the sick. It's why we're giving strength to those who are too weak and bringing resources to those without them. In every corner of America, we're still serving, organizing, supporting, building. Our legacy of sacrifice still echoes inside our members every single day. Service doesn't stop without serving. That's what makes us the VFW.
So an equivalent recognition, I'd like right now to call Sergeant Jeff Walden, who is the new sheriff of VFW statewide commissioner. Jeff's bio is also in your book.
For those of you, good evening. For those of you who don't know that there's peacocks outside, Table 11 has so graciously repeated their honking. So today, while I'm here, I want to emphasize a couple things. And most importantly, I would like to emphasize the profound importance of nonprofits and what we do with the veterans organizations in our society. These organizations play a vital role in supporting our veterans, improving our communities, and addressing critical issues. And let's delve into why they're so critical. Firstly, nonprofits and veterans organizations are the backbone and support for our veterans here at home. When our servicemen and women return home after their duties, they often face unique challenges, from physical and mental health issues to transitioning to civilian life for the first time. These organizations can provide a lifeline in offering services such as healthcare, counseling, job placement, and housing assistance. They ensure that our veterans receive care and the resources that they deserve for their sacrifices. Secondly, these organizations bridge the gap where government programs have failed our veterans. They provide essential support. Nonprofits and veterans organizations can swiftly adapt and overcome to the changing environment to the veteran, or new veteran. They have flexibility to address emerging challenges like the transition to digital job force, the mental health impact of our deployments, and much, much more. Moreover, nonprofits and veterans organizations are a testament to the power of community. They often rely on dedicated volunteers such as yourselves, who donate selflessly and contribute their resources to help those in need. This sense of community and shared purpose is not only heartwarming, but also effective at bringing back and about positive change. These organizations extend their influence beyond veterans too. They actively engage in community development, disaster relief, education, and various social initiatives. By doing so, each enrich our society to promote a sense of unity and responsibility amongst its citizens. In conclusion, nonprofits and veterans organizations are pillars of strength in our society. They offer an unwavering support to our veterans, helping them reintegrate into civilian life successfully. And additionally, they serve as a shining example of community-driven change, making our society more compassionate and more resilient. Let us recognize and support those organizations for them being instrumental in change and our veterans growing. Organizations such as SpectraCare. And I truly do thank you for everything you do. Now a little bit more about the VFW. The VFW is the largest combat veterans organization in the world, starting in 1899. We have 2,300 accredited service officers. They brought back last year $11.2 billion to our veterans. That's billion with a B. 18 is the number of times that we've testified just past year in front of Congress and their subcommittees. Being the driving force pushing the PACT Act over the line, camping out on Capitol Hill for 4 days with celebrity Jon Stewart. $12.9 million in financial assistance was awarded to military families through the various programs that the VFW offers. $12.3 million awarded to more than 2,700 service members since 2014. New Jersey has been unmatched in the money donated through the Veterans Assistance Program through the state VFW, and that number is closely approaching $100,000 in the past 4 years. We have 5,754 posts worldwide and 1.5 million members. Over 100,000 participants in our school scholarship program, because change begins with our youth. No one does more for veterans, and without your help, we cannot make it happen. I would like to thank every one of you for your support to the various organizations, and both veterans organizations and non-veterans organizations that have come together and shown a true partnership. And may God bless you, God bless our troops, and may God always bless the United States of America.
Special Honor Proclamation 2023 to the New Jersey VFW. Whereas since 1899, when American veterans returned from overseas services lacking medical care and pensions, the Veterans of Foreign Wars has advocated on behalf of veterans, military members, their families, and their communities built on pillars of Veterans Affairs, national security, and Americanism. And whereas after being the direct facilitator for the original GI Bill and the creation of the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, they today comprise 1.5 million members in both their core posts and auxiliary. They assist over 100,000 veterans annually to obtain their entitlement benefits and provide almost 6 million in VFW unmet needs grants, which is another thing, which is important, for struggling military families. And whereas they also support tens of thousands of high school students annually in their Voice of Democracy and Patriots Pen programs, along with millions of volunteer hours, which is another thing, and almost 50 million in donations from their members to local community needs. Whereas the New Jersey VFW VFW has specifically done all these things for New Jersey veterans while also working to promote the specific interests of New Jersey state veterans and their families, and while also actively supporting all state VFW posts and their commanders and their members in all ways possible. Be it therefore resolved by the Board of Directors of the SpectraCare Foundation that the New Jersey VFW is hereby recognized by proclamation by both the SpectraCare Foundation and its Carlton R. Root Veterans Center as a most distinguished and critical foundational organization in pursuit of New Jersey veterans' rights and privileges. Be it so proclaimed this day.
I'd like to thank SpectraCare for this amazing proclamation. And now, as part of our VFW programs, and a little bit of how we both just explained a little bit about what the VFW does, there's nobody in this area that does more for veterans than Sammy Sampolsky. So at this time, I'd like to call
lifetime of service to his community as a proud member and post commander of VFW Post 3324 Runnymede. He is an inspiration of dedication, kindness, and self-sacrifice. He is truly loved and appreciated by many. This award goes to you.
Thank you.
Well, I've been commander of our post for 14 years. And you couldn't do that without a wife that cares. You can get away with that. But if I can brag a little bit about our VFW, in 14 years, anytime I ask one of my members to do something, they never said no. We have passed a milestone this year. In the last 14 years, we gave over $1 million to charity. That's really something. That's hard work. In 2016, we got the Community Service Award for the whole country. That year, we did 35,000 in popping alone. So I'm proud of our VFW. I'm up here to get the award, but my members, my auxiliary, my commanders club, they're all hard-working people. Couldn't be done without them. Thank you. And we'll always be given respect to them. Because that guy over there is my senior vice with the commander, and he reminds me every month about SpectraCare. He doesn't let it go. So you'll always be hearing from our VFW. Thank you.
Sammy, for everything that you've done for us, we also wanted to give you something personal. And this is a three-day, two-night stay in Hoboken. No, anywhere you want to go. Thank you. And I really would like to echo what Tom McPherson has done for our foundation and for the Carlton Root Center through the Runnymede Post has been incredible. And I also want to recognize Russ Burke, because if it wasn't for Russ, we would not have even connected.
Well, another thing too, my past senior vice, who passed away, Tim Salomon, he's the one that told me years ago when you first started, and Bobby Cotter, who are both deceased Marines, that did a lot for SpectraCare. And he started it out, and Tom has never let it go. And he reminds me every month, I think.
I'd just like to say something real quick before we get into our next award. Briz and Sammy both have done so much for SpectraCare Foundation, for our veterans and our community. Without these two commanders, we still would not be in existence. So thank you for all of your generous donations. The box that you see outside, I want to thank Sammy and his VFW members. They have donated the bus to be painted, and because of Sammy's connection to Mr. Bill Kofer, who could not be with us from U.S. Logistics Transportation Company, I hope I got that right, he donated the other part. So because of that, the bus has been donated, and now we can take trips. But I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you, boyfriend, and thank you, my friend, because that's what it's about.
Okay. Last but not least for tonight, and far from least, is our sole annual SpectraCare Foundation Medal of Honor. Our Medal of Honor award is our highest award. It is given to one person, or in the case of last year, one animal, who exemplified with courage and dedication an unyielding lifetime commitment to one or more of our focus cohorts. This year, our Medal of Honor is going to United States Air Force First Lieutenant Dr. Sandra Williams Ortega. Dr. Williams Ortega holds the distinction of being the first African American woman to receive a commission in the United States Air Force. One can only imagine what she endured in earning that high honor. And we really wanted you to be able to, aside from her bio, which is extensive and in your program book, we also wanted to include the article that was on your table earlier tonight, because in her own words, she told such a poignant story of isolation and her inner spirit of what she persevered in a peaceful way of producing change. And I'm going to get back to that in a minute. In the meantime, I would like to first have Dr. Ortega come up to the stage, and I'd like her to be able to say a few words, and I'd like to introduce her with the following. It has been said by Christopher E. Haley, the director of the Legacy of Slavery at the Maryland State Archives. Her pioneering military service is the equivalent to history, making civil rights leaders who sacrificed their time, subdued their capacity to retaliate, and instead served as successful models, integrating all areas of American society. Ladies and gentlemen, I most proudly and humbly introduce you to Dr. Sandra Williams Ortega.
I feel like crying. I really do. You know, because you really had nothing to do with me. It's just we all have it in us to be all that we were meant to be. And I am just so grateful. I met Kathleen and I fell in love with her. I've been following her around ever since. So tonight I brought my daughter with me But this is so touching. I just didn't expect this. I didn't. But I tell you what, having been an officer in the U.S. Air Force was the greatest blessing. The greatest blessing I could ever have not imagined. I was born during the Civil Rights Movement, during the age of segregation, when you lived in your part of town, others lived in their part of town. I was born during the era of segregated schools, where there was one colored school in your area. If you lived in Baltimore, West Baltimore, I lived in Baltimore, West Baltimore, South Baltimore, each of those areas had a school, which was the only school you could go to. You would walk to school and pass white kids going to schools all over the place. But that was the age. You were, there were so many things that were not yours to be privileged to have. I remember waiting, and I'll mention this, tell you about this, to go into the Air Force. That was a blessing. And applying for a job with the airlines, a stewardess job, because there was a thing out, hey, we're hiring stewardesses. And so I said, well, I have time, so I have to go into the Air Force, take the oath. And so I applied. And so when I took my application in, the young lady who was the one who was accepting the applications put a big C in the upper left-hand corner of my application, encircled, meaning colored, meaning we do need people, but not you. I gotta tell you something. I had just started a program at St. Francis Academy in Baltimore, Maryland, for female pilots. Because I could not forget the fact that I was refused even the ability to be a stewardess, to clean up a plane. And so we have this program, pilot training program, we just started up, named after me, Sandra Williams Ortega. Yeah. It is for women, for young women. So, I tell you, I was in the age of, well, when you just did not have the ability to be all that you could be, or so you thought. You know. And then one day, after I had gone to elementary school and come down with the worst bout of grand mal epilepsy, and my next school was the junior high school. Keep in mind, there was only one I could go to. And so I went to the junior high school having just come down with grand mal epilepsy. And because they did not have the resources to take care of me, they put me out. And so I'm home. Somebody asked me, well, were you homeschooled? I said, excuse me, I'm just home. No. Luckily though, the Oblate Sisters of Providence, the oldest black group of nuns all over the world, had just begun to build a school for for colored girls. We were colored then. I've always wondered how it is that somebody can name you. I don't get it. I think about that. Gotta do something about it. But we were colored then. And they had built this school, an independent Catholic school in East Baltimore. And my parents heard about it. And they went to these nuns and petitioned, will you take our daughter in? She's got grand mal epilepsy. I can't complain though. I got very good care from the Johns Hopkins Free Clinic. And so they said yes. They took me in. Tuition was $3 a month. And the lady up the street, Miss Rita, paid my tuition. All my life, I have been cared for, moved to a better place. You know, all my life. And I realize that. So clearly I'm thinking that maybe it was not, maybe my best bet was to have been born during that era as a woman of color. And so I went to St. Francis Academy. I started going to St. Francis Academy with the nuns, which was a good deal because these nuns were women from all over the world, where I met the first Cuban nun. It was good for me because I since married my husband who's Cuban. So I said, it's been a good thing. We soon celebrate our 65th wedding anniversary. Some things that you think are the worst turn out to be the best. You know. And so I'm at St. Francis Academy, and I really wanted to go. It's time to go to college. Of course, I'm limited. I can only go to my HBCU, which just happened to be the Great Morgan State University in Baltimore, Maryland now. And so, I tell you, I was talking to one of the nuns who was my nurse. Because when I went to St. Francis Academy, keep in mind, I'm in the throes of grand mal epilepsy. I'm having fits all the time. And so what they did was make a little bed area for me in the back of the classroom with one nun who was a nurse to be there to take care of me at all times. I had my medicine there. They fed me. I mean, what a blessing. And so I said to the nun, I have to go to college. I want to go to college. It's time for me to go to college. And I had, as quickly as I started the epilepsy, not as quickly, but when I was in the 12th grade, it stopped. Stopped on its own. And I've never had it again. It just went away. I guess it was tired of me. I don't know. And so she said to me, let's do this. Let us write to Morgan State University and let's tell them about your plight and see what happens. She gave me a piece of paper. I wrote, Dear Morgan State, I told them about myself. I told them that we had no money. I told them that my dream was to go to college. Please take me in. 2 weeks later, I got a letter from the Board of Trustees saying, welcome to Morgan State. Make us proud. I never forget those words. They live with me. They live with me. Make us proud. And so I went to Morgan State. I just turned 16 years old. Yeah, I was young. The guys were coming back from Vietnam. The girls were older. They had breasts. I mean, they had boyfriends. I had nothing. I So I'm there, unfit. I'm trying to fit in. I really am. And so I am joining every club, the French club, the this club, Delta Sigma Theta, I don't know where Mother got the money from, sorority, but she did. So I'm just trying to fit in because I just didn't feel like I did. And so I don't know. I'm just thinking back. Every time I think about this, I think back. So what happened was that a lot of things happened. First of all, at that time, you had to take a course called Negro History. We were Negroes then. Had to take a course called Negro History, and the course was taught at 8 in the morning by the preeminent black Negro historian, Dr. Benjamin Quarles. We had the best teachers because they could not teach anywhere else. All of these blessings. And so Dr. Quarles' course was at 8 in the morning. I did not have money to get to school. And so I would hitchhike. I would go out, I would go with my brothers, the two of them who went, to the main highway, and I would stand outside in the middle of the street, and I would flag down cars. And the cars they'd see me, a lone young woman, and they'd stop. And the minute they stopped, I'd say, would you please take us as close to Morgan State as you can? And at that moment, my brothers would jump out from behind the pole, the posts where they were, and try to get into the car. Usually they said, get the hell away from my car. Now and then they took us as close as they could. But because Dr. Benjamin Quarles' Negro history class was at 8 in the morning, I always missed the quiz that he gave, which happened to be the grade. And so one day he called me up and he said, Miss Williams, I need to talk to you. I want you to drop out. I want you to withdraw because you cannot pass. I said, I actually started crying. Dr. Quarles, please give me a chance. He said, Miss Williams, you can't pass. I want you to withdraw. So I have an F on my transcript, and I do a lot of talking to kids and all, and I take my transcript with me and talk to them about this F. That F does not mean failure. It just means get your act together. And we talk about that. And so I got put out. Well, I tell you, all I want to say, I know I'm supposed to stay up here just a little bit of time, and I know that you're going to put me out in any minute.
Stronger people than me have tried.
So what happened was here I am, just trying to fit in. Just trying to fit in. And keep in mind that this is the age of segregation. There was no way that a woman of color, get any degree you want, could go to a recruiter and say, hey, I'm Sandy Williams. I want to go into the Air Force as an officer. There was no mechanism for a black woman to become an officer. We were enlisted, we were nurses, and then we were officers. But to be a line officer was an impossibility until President Eisenhower. And so he was in trouble because it was a civil rights movement. Civil rights movement, dogs were in the street. It was all hell broke loose. It was a mess. And he was accosted, confronted. Huh? What happened?
Sorry, ma'am.
That's okay. There clearly was a need for that. So, anyway, he was confronted by black organizations. Hey, open the door of opportunity to women of color to be officers. He said, President Eisenhower, if you can find me a qualified, as if none of us were qualified, woman of color, I will give her a direct commission into this newest Air Force. It was not even 10 years old, to try to open the doors of integration, to see how it works. I don't know how it happened. Sometimes you never know stuff. But they chose me. I came home one afternoon and saw two men, black men in uniform, on my porch. Don't know how they knew me. I'd never met them. The commanders of the ROTC department, they were on my porch talking to my mother and father. Keep in mind, in those days, you didn't speak for yourself. I am 86 years old. Just to let you know. And so it was Colonel Stewart, the commandant of the Morgan State ROTC, and Mr. Good, who was Chief Warrant Officer 5 of the Morgan State ROTC. They had come there to ask if I could be that qualified colored woman. My father was German. He said, "You will not use my daughter." They came 3 times, and finally my father relented, and he said, "Yes, she can go in." For a year, they took me to Fort Holabird, back and forth, for meaningless tests, which the colonel of the ROTC department said, "These will be meaningless. They're going to try to fail you." So I passed. And they could not fail me. And so I was given I want to show you this because you'll never see it again. I passed. Eisenhower was forced to appoint me as the first American woman of color to be a line officer in the United States Air Force. I want to say that. This is wonderful. This is signed and written by President Dwight Eisenhower. You will never see it again because it had never happened again. But that is the presidential appointment of the first black woman in the United States Air Force. It's been a miracle and a dream, a magical thing.
SpectraCare Foundation would like to present the Distinguished Service Medal of Honor Award the 15th day of September to Dr. Sandra William Ortega for a lifetime of exceptional service to her country and as a pioneer in her profession in the areas of family, community, organizational dynamic, mental and physical health, and also as a teacher and leader fighting for civil rights of those lacking a voice over oppression and discrimination. We present you the Medal of Honor.
Dr. Ortega, for those people that were not captivated by your speech, I'd like to read to them the final couple words of your article. My life has been a series of miracles made possible by the kindness of so many people who happened to be at just the right moment. My experiences have taught me the important lessons: be kind, be good, be inclusive, and don't give up.
Never. Don't give up.
Take ownership of your mission, and the mission will take you far.
I believe it. It's a mission.
So, you presented a very unique challenge to us this year, because we gave you the best award that we have, and it just didn't seem enough. And I told Kathleen, I said, we got to talk to the board. It just isn't enough. So you forced us to create a new award.
Oh, you're kidding.
No, I'm dead serious. So you're getting 2 awards today. And our new award is the Trailblazer Award.
Oh.
So I'm going to read this to everybody for you. Special Trailblazer Award. Sandra Williams Ortega, PhD, First Lieutenant, U.S. Air Force. Whereas there has been a history of discrimination in our country and in its armed forces of the past, and whereas many citizens in the minority and women have suffered greatly over centuries in the areas of employment, service, and family life, and whereas our great country has always relied on trailblazers to brave the pathways of nonviolent change through which the lives of the many are improved as our country is made stronger for all. And whereas there exists a strong desire to recognize the tireless and courageous work that some do as champions performed over a lifetime of courageous service, the SpectraCare Foundation Board of Directors established a special Trailblazer Award to be given to those, you being the first, through their exemplary character and industry, who have worked against all odds to tirelessly over time help change systems of oppression and discrimination and protect and advance the rights of those affected by their courage and zealous pursuit of justice. Dr. Sandra Ortega, be it therefore resolved that on this year, on this day, you be selected as the first recipient of this year's Special Trailblazer Award in the aforementioned distinguished individual community. So this is for you. And then that in turn forced us to create another award.
Trailblazer Award, Sandra Williams Ortega, PhD, September 15, 2004.
I don't know that we will ever be able to top this. We are all humbled in your presence and truly admirable. You walked the path for all of us. Okay, I guess we didn't quite do as good as we had hoped on time, but we're bringing this to a close now. So I'm going to turn this over to Kathleen.
Okay, everybody, I just want to say thank you so much. But most important, if I start here and list everybody, we'll be here all night. I'm not going to do that. From the bottom of my heart and from the volunteers at the SpectraCare Foundation, to all of my board members, my committee, our volunteers, our community partners, and many, many more. Without all of you, SpectraCare Foundation would not be a reality. So I want to thank you all, and I want to give the microphone to you.
I just want to say one thing. This is the Kathleen that we see every day. And this is the Kathleen you see. Brianna?
going to say for us in closing?
I am, and before you hit that music, I'm going rogue, guys. I know we're already behind on time, but I got the mic now, so unless you think you can take it from me, you're just gonna have to listen to what I say. First of all, I didn't expect that testimony, Dr. Ortega. I can't even begin to relate to what you went through, ma'am, but you know what? It's women like you who taught the young women like me, I'm an Army vet, how to overcome adversity and how to face, and how to, I can imagine you going about your life the way that you gave that testimony with a smile on your face, knowing in the back of your mind that you are smarter and stronger and have stronger perseverance than all the things around you in your environment that were trying to oppress. You knew that you were just going to come out on top, and you did. I'm not nearly as accomplished as you are, by any means. But I'm just really humbled hearing that story. And everybody in this room should feel, be blessed to be here and to have heard testimony like that, because it's stories like that that are why we're all sitting in this room together with all of our individual stories and accomplishments. So everybody should feel like really grateful to hear that. I did 13 years in the U.S. Army. I was an Enduring Freedom vet. I am a recipient of a dog from Paul's Healing Heroes. So I want to go over here tonight, because my dog is not here for reasons that I'm about to get into that it's a kind of cruel irony. Last year it was the poops. Yes, it was. That's why he wasn't here. Turns out German Shepherds can have gluten intolerances. So if your dog has violent stomach issues, check the gluten, grain-free, changes everything. Anyway, this year he's not with me because my husband and I, as soon as we leave here, we're driving to Virginia Beach to a funeral. One of my very close friends who I met 10 years ago on said deployment became a statistic last week. Part of the 22. And I can't tell you how great it's been to be here tonight laughing with my friends and making honking peacock noises, which I didn't even know they did until today. I've had my dog, he's 4 years old. He didn't get trained until a little later because I got him right before COVID hit, and we had to wait a year. He was unsocialized, we were in the house all the time, and Paul's Healing Heroes did a lot to that crazy ass dog. And made him, the hero that he is, and I wish that he was with me, but we unfortunately cannot take him because we are going to a funeral in Virginia Beach immediately after this for tomorrow morning, and it's going to be at my friend's house because that's all his wife could handle. She couldn't handle a big thing. We're doing a celebration of life. And they have two big dogs, one being a Rottweiler who does not like dogs. So I had to leave my guy at home. But I just can't stress enough the importance of organizations like Paul's Healing Heroes that are really out there doing God's work, saving so many lives. And SpectraCare Foundation, like organizations that care and they do so much and they devote their lives to, Mark and Kathleen and Michael and all these people, this stuff isn't just for show. It's not just whining and dining. There's a purpose to all this. So thank you guys for buying the tickets and being supportive. It's real life, and we're real people, and you just never know who you're helping and when you're helping them when you support organizations like this, and when these people give their lives and their money and everything they can to make sure that, we're here for another day with a smile on our face to laugh in a pretty dress with our friends. So thank you guys so much for coming and being here. And when I sing the song that we're closing out with, it's for my friend, his name is Josh Tessendorf, first sergeant. He gave over 20 years of his life to the United States Army, and this song is going to be for him and for all of you, so thank you guys so much. Yeah, it's pretty fun. There you go. If tomorrow all the things were gone I've worked for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife. I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause that flag still stands for freedom, and the take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the man who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, Detroit down to Houston, and New York to LA. Well, there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the man who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget those men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. And there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the
How about it, everybody? Thank you so much.
We ran a little later. Okay, gentlemen?
And foot. Forward, on. Right, hey. And half step. Forward, on. Up. Up. Right, face. Freeze in. Harness. Forward, arms. Retire the colors. Right, face. At the head step. Forward, one. Left.
Please give our detachment a hand of applause.
Thank you everyone, that concludes our program. But before we all get into dancing and socializing and everything, over to my right, there's bottles of wine. You pull the cork, it's a $15 donation, and you get to pick whatever you want. Over to my left, we have silent auction items that have been donated by various people. And then over by the wall, I'm sorry, by the stand, we have items as well. Again, all proceeds go back to the program that we provide, that we spoke to tonight. So let's get this party going and dance, and thank you so much for everybody coming and being patient. Thank you.